So one of the joys of looking after MCR21 is not just the electronics that need fixing, it's the mechanics that we need to keep on top of. Now the vehicle's just been to have an inspection. We don't need an MOT on it, but we obviously want to make sure that it is safe and roadworthy, so it has been inspected and a few minor tweaks have been done. And one of the things that came up from the inspection was that it needed a new one of these, which is a linkage which joins the shock absorber to the suspension, and this rubber bush here had gone missing somehow. Luckily we just happened to have a spare one of these, so job now is to go and try and fit this, and somehow I'm the only one with overalls today. Right, so we're suitably attired and tooled up. Now on with the job. So that's the good side, the near side, so I've got to fit the spare part in the same way that that's fitted. So all I've got to remember, it's the big fat bit at the top. Even I can't foul that up, surely. There, and a little nut there. What I find interesting is that there's a washer on the bottom one, a spring washer, but the top one, it's hasn't got a washer, but it needs a split pin at some point. So as far as I can see, this, oh blimey, let's be forced up. Oh, that's interesting. Shock absorber doesn't actually return to its position. Need to go up a bit more. I hope you're playing this game at home. I was going to. Oh, the nut is loose. I want to find out where the hole is exactly. Having trouble getting the split pin through. It's very difficult to see here, and to make a small adjustment with a socket, it's rather imprecise, so we're just going to use an adjustable spanner. The nut is not done up particularly tight, it's relying on the split pin holding it all together, but in order to get it through the top of the castle nut, it has to be in exactly the right place. So a little small adjustment here. Right, there we go. Right, one split pin fitted. Ooh. Which is why I'm an electronics engineer and not a mechanic. So I think Brian is just going to improve upon things by painting the thing I've just fitted, which is incredibly difficult to see.
Got to do a bit more wriggling.
A bit more wriggling. Do you want? Yeah, you're going to be off the edge of the carpet as well, by a long way. I think you might want to invest a bit of time in
moving the
carpet.
Nah. Oh. The shirt will go in the wash.
Oh dear, I think it'll go in the bin, quite frankly, if you...
No, this shirt, right, I've had it a long time. When I first moved down here in 1983, I needed some clothes, so I happened to be in Oxford Street, as you would, and I went into a large famous store, I think it was British Home Stores, and perused the shirts, and I found two of these shirts which were on sale, so I bought them, and I quite like wearing them. They're sort of a blouse type shirt. But the remarkable thing about them, dirt's fallen in the eyes.
Yeah,
now.
I had that issue as well.
The remarkable thing about them is that they are some 40 odd years old now and they haven't worn out. They're a bit frayed round the bottom, but you know how when you buy shirts, within as long as 15 minutes of starting wearing them, the buttons fall off. Have you noticed that?
I certainly have. Yeah.
So these shirts have got their original 40-year buttons, and I
There
don't
you
quite
go.
understand.
Vintage clothing and vintage vehicle. What more could you want?
Yes. Bit down there.
Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, we find Steve, who's having a little tweak at the carburettor, or about to have a little tweak at the carburettor, and I think he's watching a...
No, I've taken a picture of the back of it because you can't see it.
Ah, yes, because we had to identify what type it was,
And I'm
didn't
trying
we?
to identify the parts. But
Running.
So there's the top of the Solex carburettor, which we've identified as a Solex, what was it? Type 40 or something.
it's a 40, to be precise, 40 AIP2 Solex.
Oh. Well, if anybody at home knows what one of those is and knows how to tune it, well, do let us know. Because this bad boy does about 6 miles to the gallon, which is probably only a little bit better than what that aeroplane overhead is doing at the moment.
Here we go.
Do you think that's making any difference? So this is richening it, isn't it?
It's coming out of full turn now.
So gentlemen, what's going on here
Right.
today?
We require a night supply for the van to run things when the van's not in use. And what we got here is, probably viewers will be very familiar with this one. This is what you'd see on a campsite, which is your general 240 volt 16 amp blue socket. They do come in bigger sizes, but that's the one we're going to use in this instance. And the one over here, this is a 1940 style socket called a Nifan. There's the other part of its partner, and there's metal with pins, and they join together. They're still manufactured now, and one example which you might be familiar with if you're a bus fanatic is if you look at the connections in headlights and the actual chassis on a double-decker bus, they use this style of connector.
And also on ships, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's quite environmentally rugged, whereas this, with a huge amount of UV you get out on sea, probably wouldn't last to the same extent as one of those.
But it's cheaper.
But it's cheaper. And it's readily available at any port.
Hmm. Okay, so you're making the night supply.
Yeah, what we're doing is
Inlet.
we're reusing a socket, and at the moment I am trying to wire the conductors into the plug. I have to check which variety it was. And this particular cable also is screened. That means around the actual wires that do the work, they have a braid like you would find on a TB cable, and that's to give a measure of additional earth protection, and also to screen anything that's going down the cable from either being picked up or radiated.
Nice. Quality.
Yes.
On that one, I think I might need a bit more off of the
So that's job number 517,211B, ticked off the list.
whatever's on the list before it gets changed. Yes.
So these are the normal inputs, the normal supply and the standby. In this instance I've used the standby connector purely to exercise it, and the changeover for those is here, with a mechanical interlock. So off, slide over, and on for the other one. And back again. It's a good stiff click, that. There of usefulness is the normal indicator and the reversed one.
You don't want to see that one lit up, do you?
No, so you live and neutral are the right way round. Up here is the night normal changeover switch, and the idea behind the night supply is that this is for maintenance purposes overnight. You can run the lights and a heater and possibly the SPGs. And the input for it is here. It's a bit stiff.
So
It's a lot stiff.
So the lead that Steve is working on at the moment is going to go in there.
Yes, if I can, there it goes. It was tight probably against the rubber bung in the lid. So the night supply goes on there, and it is this bog standard 15 amp knife and connector. So we'll leave that off, and in a little while when we've finished wiring it, we'll try it.
Yes, and if you're wondering what the noise is all about, well,
We've started the smoke generator and petrol consuming device in the front.
yes, because we're going to have a little tweak at the carburetor when it's warmed up, and hopefully encourage it to use a little less fuel and a little more air.
Yes, chance will be a fine thing.
So Steve, you've completed the mission.
Yes.
You've made a lovely lead.
Thank you very much. I'll just see if it should go.
Tune for maximum smoke.
Goes in.
A night socket supply.
It's not quite finished. We've got to sort the chain out, but there's an issue over the thread that's apparently been tapped 4BA, and although it's a 4BA is a transition metric thread, I did try it with an M3, which is a bit of a sloppy, so that's going to be sorted out. But there we go. So here's the lead, and we've got in place, all nicely connected up, and then we've got the CEE17 norm, which is your standard connector system used on a holiday campsite and used also in other applications. Right, here we go. Right.
So, tune for maximum smoke. So you've got two feeds now going into the vehicle then.
So that was the original one, which is one of the interesting adapters, a 16 amp to 63 amp, and onto the BICC 80 amp. So that's the interface between the original 1963 and more modern equipment, which is sort of spaced off by the length of a wire. So in an operational condition at the end of the day, you might well do that.
That switches off your vehicle.
Right, and turn the normal night changeover to night. Now, did you hear that click? I'll do that again. Definitely silence, and there'll be a click and a faint humming noise. That's the lighting relay pulling in that says I've got power to the lights. If this switch here was operated to that position there, well, it is on. When the power fails, the inverter should have kicked in to maintain the lights, but it won't do that because the battery's on the bench inside the workshop. Another project. But we have now got power going into here. That's switched on. The night supply breaker here is on. ELCP test. No, I'll not press that because there's a small chance somewhere upstream it might drop an RCCD out, which is inconvenient. So if we go inside now, the lights should be working.
Voila.
So what was the faint humming sound that we could hear?
What, back there?
Yeah, you said...
The relay.
Oh, that was it? Okay.
The
Yes.
mains operated relay as opposed to a DC relay.
Yeah. So, that night supply operates the lights, the battery charger, so that you can maintain the vehicle batteries, and depending on the wiring and how it's arranged, it may hold up the power supply to the SPGs. The reason behind that is if you're operating crystal locked on the oven, it keeps it warm, but in 63 that wasn't too much of a problem, as you're only a twice line crystal. But when you went to colour, of course, you were on the colour subcarrier, which might have well been a 17 meg something or other divided by 4 to make the 4.43. More important to keep that one warm. Well, one of the things we've been working on and off is the starting handle. It might sound silly, but we've also been looking at the timing, and you need to be able to turn the engine slowly to the right point, top dead centre. So we've acquired a starting handle, and we've filed and drilled the end to fit. One of the problems with the dog that the starting handle engages in is down the end of a tunnel, so you can't actually measure it or see it. So there's been a lot of guesswork and experimental work. So the starting handle now goes in thus. Oh, the other thing is, it's very long. Scan, 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 scan. This is because the engine is so far back. Marker. And that is now engaged in the dog. And it's a stiff old bugger to turn. Am I getting weak?
I don't think so. You wouldn't want to be turning that on in a 12 o'clock at night in the rain in a muddy field, would you?
Certainly not. But the starting handle does engage in the dog, and it does turn the engine. Whether or not it's feasible to actually start it with, this is another matter, but there we are. So it requires painting, and then it will go in the side locker. Side locker, follow me. This is the space where the spare wheel should be, but the spare wheel mounting frame is missing. But just along here are some tools. So that you could, if you were really desperate, change a wheel. I suspect that this will require considerable extension to get the amount of torque on the nuts. We recently had the vehicle serviced, and the service engineer there used the traditional piece of scaffold pole as an extension. So that's back in place, and the starting handle goes in there, goes in there,
Something like that.
like that.
Yeah, good.
MCR21 has got some storage batteries which I used for backup in case of mains failure. First of all, there's a 24 volt one which runs the lighting inverter. Then there's a second 24 volt one which runs the comms system, and a third 18 volt battery runs the sound desk. The idea behind this was that if you lost your mains, you could at least answer the telephone and continue on in sound. So originally these batteries would have been 12 volt 100 amp hour car batteries, quite enormous and heavy and needing constant attention. So we've decided to have something slightly smaller, typically this sort of thing. This is 12 volts at 20 amp hour, and more than adequate for the job in hand. It's quite heavy. So rather than having these just scurrying loose, we thought that we would make a battery box, and we'd paint this black so that at least it looked plausible. Lid, and the battery goes inside like that, or more correctly 2 of them do, because that's 12 volts and it needs another 12 volt friend. This is the front, and the connection panel that bolts on there. The idea behind the 4 terminals is that the existing battery charger has selenium rectifiers, and they're a little bit, their reverse resistance is not all that wonderful, so left in circuit they would slowly discharge the battery. So that's going to be the charging circuit, and we'll put a diode in there. Ta-da! Or maybe a smaller one, yet to be decided. So that's the charging circuit, and these 2 are the high current output circuits to go after the inverter, and that screws on the front. The handle goes on there like that, and we've got rather a nice little label here. Now we've made a lot of these to go here and there all over the van, but this is an original one made by Pi back in 1963, so it would be nice to fix that to the front like that. If I can hold it with my thumb out the way and perhaps offer it, whoops, up to the camera so you can see it in position. I made it a small compartment here to accommodate the wiring and that, and it all squares up quite nicely, and the lid goes on thus. And back here, excuse me a moment while I walk out of camera shot, is the wood that I've cut the other day to make the other 2 battery boxes. I can thoroughly recommend a table saw, they're wonderful.